Pat, Eric said that he felt like what he saw out of Hassan the last 50 games of the season, in terms of what he did defensively and offensively, that he became that player maybe that you guys finally wanted to see. In your eyes, is he there? Is Hassan where you wanted him to be at the end of the season?
Yes. But there's so much more we need from him. For us to beat Golden State or the world champions up, in Ohio, or any other team that's going to be a world champion, we're going to need to have a championship center. I think he has the capability of being that. I do think that now we know him across the board in every aspect, and he also understands his responsibilities. Eric and I, we discuss a lot of things about Hassan, and how he can better help us. Can he be 17, 14, and 4 guy and shoot 61% and 70% from the line, which is what I think he is right about now? Or can he be a 25 and 17 and 6 player? And I think he can be that. But you have to carve out something more for him offensively. So once you feed him that, he may be able to go there. And so, but you've got to put him in that position to see if he can do that. I think he has the ability to put up bigger numbers. Will those bigger numbers equal wins? And that's what we have to get out of him. We have to get that kind of performance out of him. We have to get those 30 and 20 and 10 nights out of him 5 times a year, and you have to get him on those nights that we play big games. But I think he has the ability, and I'm proud of him. I'm glad that we made him a priority, last summer, and signing him, and I think he's taken on that responsibility.
I know that you've been hesitant to discuss long-term future for you, but do you have an idea how much longer you still want to work for a living?
You ask me that question every year. Don't you?
Somebody does. I drew the short straw.
I don't know. I'm all of these guys that wear these black shirts, except for Perez, I think Tim and I got into an argument the other day. He lost, but Andy Ellsberg and Chet, and I'll say this about somebody in our front office that is so valuable. Adam Simon, and what Adam has done since he was stuffing VHS tapes into machines, and that was his job, over at SunTrust back in the early days, is an excellent general manager, assistant GM right now. But I can't think of any other general manager or person in scouting or personnel that has put in the time that Adam has put in. I mean, we try to wire down his Rolodex. I still have a Rolodex. Does anybody here still have a Rolodex? I still have a Rolodex. I still have one, man. And Rob and I are holdouts. I have something online too that I can get my information from, but I just love to roll that thing over. I can control it, and so Adam does a great job. Andy, Chet, Eric Amsler, Nick Harrison. All of these men. I don't need to be here. This thing could run by itself. I mean, not by itself. It would run with their leadership. But I think we've all been a good group over the last 22 years. We've all grown up together. So, I just want to have a great summer and come back and have a great team and try to win a championship, contend for championships. I do not like. I don't know how many more non-playoff years I could take or I'd want to take, or I'm not so sure that if we had non-playoff years, I even deserve to be here. But we got a good group of guys, so I love this group of guys that we have to build this team from, and we're going to hopefully make the right selections. I hope that Dion and James and the rest of our free agents, like it here enough that we're going to be fair with them and they'll be fair with us. But we're in a whole new era now, different stage of free agency.
Coach, wanted to ask you about Dion Waiters. He was hurt early and hurt late, but in the segment that he played and started alongside Goran, what did you see from Dion individually and from that backcourt collectively that you liked or that you observed?
Well, I don't know if there are two tougher-minded guards in the league than Goran and Dion. And Dion has this affable defiance, okay, which he and I talk about this all the time, which I like. You know, you got to have that in a guy that wants to win games and take big shots but the two of them in how they play, they did complement each other because both are attackers. Dion can create off the dribble and create space and get to areas of the court where he can get up shots in late clock situations and stuff. He's going to become a better finisher, a higher percentage as a finisher because he goes to the rack all the time. I think he gets in the paint for 12 to 14 times a game, and he's kicking and everything. And I think he just realizes now what it takes to be a great player. You know, at Cleveland, he had an opportunity to do certain things. I think he was hurt a couple of those years. And then at OKC, he was coming off the bench doing what they wanted him to do in short minutes. And here he played 30-plus minutes a game and got starters minutes and in the rhythm of being a starter. and you saw during those times that he could be efficient. And I think that's the one word that Coach was talking about all the time is that we just want to improve his efficiency. So, you know, did the consistency in minutes and the work that he put on the court with the coaches, you know, increase the efficiency? You know, versus playing 17 minutes a game and then, you know, having every now and then the opportunity to be the guy. So they worked well together, and we don't forget, you know, what Tyler brings in. You know, Tyler brings in another element of attack. And so we love our perimeter players, and we think Dion's more than a sample size of 46 games that, you know, challenge him to be that kind of a guard. I mean, the great guards in this league, you know, he has the ability, you know, to shoot over 40% from three. He has the ability to be maybe a 47 or 48% field goal percentage guy. You know, if he ever gets over 50, look out. And what bothers me is he's not making 85% of his free throws. And so, I mean, this is all focus and it's all training. It's all being more and more comfortable as he becomes more efficient. So he has that in him, and I think we saw enough of it, you know. Plus, we like him, and we really like Dion. He's a good guy.
Pat, Udonis, obviously he didn't play a ton of minutes this year, but how important was he to the team's success? And he says he wants to come back. Will he be back next year?
Udonis, we have 15 roster spots, and I hope that Udonis fills one of them, without a doubt. He's invaluable in so many aspects, on the court, off the court, in the locker room, with the players. He's made a commitment to work with, you know, 2 or 3 of our guys already. As a matter of fact, when I walked in here, there were like 6 guys in the weight room. You know, and instead of like going home or on some vacation, I'm sure they will be. And so when that time comes, you know, we'll talk with Udonis, but I like to see him on the team. But I also want to see him on the team as a player. So he's just not going to take up a spot. He's going to have to come in and, you know, and earn his position. But not just because he's the grandfather of the team, but he helps so much from that standpoint. So Mr. Miami is in our hearts, and so we let that sort of run its course as we build our team over the summer.
Pat, Could you please speak on your 2 draft picks last year? I know last July you told us you thought Justice would be your starting 3. He started out that way, got hurt. What is he now in your mind? Is he still your starting 3? And what did Richardson show you late after the injuries to make you conclude what he is long term?
I think both players give us the opportunity to move forward without being a lottery team every year, to get better. Last year when Tyler and Justice and Josh came off the bench with Dwayne and Lou and Joe and all of those guys, they were like spark plugs. Anything they did was like over the top, was a aha moment. I mean, they were great energy. They dunked, they'd run, they'd defend. Josh got on this incredible 3-point run at the end of the season. They had great experience going into the semifinals, the Eastern Conference playoffs, and so those 2 players are our future, are part of our future, a big part of our future. I will take exception with some of you here in the media, but it's your right, because you're always in the numbers and looking at specific things, is that I've been around players like Justice Winslow for a long time, and he is more than a shooter. He's a player, he's a warrior, he's a defender. He's got tremendous energy. He cares about winning. He always tries to make winning plays. The guy had a tough, rough ride this year. He had the sprained wrist and played with it the entire time while we were going through struggles. Separated his shoulder, had to have surgery. But I took a look at a lot of those guys like Justice who came in as one-and-done guys, and 20 years old when he came here. He just turned 21 the other day. And I think Kawhi averaged 8 points a game his first year. Now, 6 years later, he's averaging 25. We're measuring this guy after like 75 games. And I think that's unfair. And I wish he would get off his 3-point shooting, because he's so much more than that. He's such a player and creates coast to coast and all this stuff. And it doesn't bother him, because I guarantee you he'll make enough of them. But what Eric will have in store for him and how he will help us play with this group of guys. I mean, when you got Dion and you got Wayne Ellington and you've got you got James and you have Tyler and you have others, and Gorn. You're going to need a player that's sort of like the backbone of your team, a player that is a glue guy. So it bothers me when guys, you pull this out of the thing and you're taken away from a guy after 75 games of being on the court or whatever it was, how many ever games he's played in the last year and a half. And I think it's unfair to him. Give him a chance, man. And but he ain't going anywhere. I've read somewhere where you can package them here and package them there and all that stuff. And so you start trading guys, you start putting that stuff in the paper, and you talk about how much you love this team, but then again you start, they become like chattel. And so I try to tell them not to read anything, even though you're all adept and very, you're all Pulitzer Prize writers and all that stuff, but, don't read that stuff. You write about me, it's okay, but he's got something to prove, and there's no doubt. And I'll tell you what, he'll prove it. He'll prove that he's more than just that. He's a winner, man, and we're glad to have him. Let me tell you, glad to have him.